Yeah, hi, my name's Christian, Altson. I graduated high school in 2015, and ever since, I've just been kind of pursuing God and just trying to, figure out, why am I here? I feel like that's the question that we all have. What's my purpose?
That's perfect.
Yeah. Thank you. And my story. My story kind of begins back in 2013. My brother, he dropped out of college. He was not really doing well, and he went to this conference in Kansas City with a group called IHOP, International House of Prayer on Pancakes. It was like a fitness team, and they told him, all about Jesus and all these great things. He'd been in the church all his life, but it was just such a different vein that they were in, just such a greater amount that they had of just like, Jesus is real, like he's awesome, like all these great things. He was like, I have to do this. And he went home that day, and he told my dad, he was like, I have to do this thing that they're talking about. It's called YWAM, Youth with a Mission. Their missions group, and this sounds like what I want to do. This sounds like what I needed to do. So they talked about it, and he went and did it in Kona, Hawaii, very beautiful place, amazing people. And for him, it was very hard. It's very hard for him. But through it all, he stayed through, he pushed through. He almost got sent home because it was so hard on him. But he made it through, and he came home and he told me all about these amazing things that were happening in his life through God, and these awesome things. And I was invited by one of his friends to come to a youth camp. He was going to later that summer. And it was called Infusion. He was the leader. I was like, what? I want to be in Hawaii. I'm 16. That kind of sounds like fun. This is just pulled off some of his Instagram. So this is me right there, back in 2013. This is just someone's random picture that I found, because I don't really have any pictures. I'm not a picture taker really. But yeah, it was awesome. I had met so many amazing friends. Still lifelong friends that I still talk to this day. And I got to see cool things. I got to go places, because God's really moving in Hawaii. There's such a need, and there's such a blessing on the land. I mean, it's beautiful. We all fantasize about Hawaii. It's like, man, where do you want to go vacation? Hawaii. It's definitely an amazing place. But He's also moving there in spiritual and and really, there's a lot of healing that goes on there. There's a lot of just amazing people, a lot of amazing things, and God's really blessed the place. And so for 2 years, I was like, I really don't want to go to college, not because I don't like studying and I don't like making money and all that, but I feel like there's something more for me. So in last fall, 2015, I flew out to Kona, Hawaii, age of 18, and I joined a group called Frazer. And one of our first few days, this is the Ironman competition that was going on out there, and we were like the security guards. We were just a bunch of random 18 to 30-year-olds just standing there. I don't know why anyone didn't do anything. We didn't have any real authority. We just had a t-shirt and a hat. And it was amazing just to see people out there, just learning to talk and just talking to people there, just really getting their hearts. And this is one of the things that I miss the most about Hawaii is the prayer sets. So we have this prayer room where maybe 3 to 4 or 5 times a week we'll have prayer sets, and we all come together as a group, as a school, and there's multiple schools running. There's at one time during the seasons where the most people are on campus, there's about 1,000 people. It's crazy, it's nuts, it's just ridiculous. But we have these prayer sets where we pray, we're like, Jesus, I want to see you move in India or Africa or wherever, America, whatever it may be. And we'll just worship and we'll sing and get in groups afterwards to pray, and we'll have wind and worship. And it's just so much fun. And something else that we are super blessed to do is do community outreaches. This is a low-income housing project that we would go to once a week on Fridays. And we just play with the kids, We just play basketball or whatever they want to play. These kids are actually Marshallese from the Marshall Islands, and they're just they just really want love. So the lecture phase was 3 months, and we'd have teachings every single day. It'd be from 8 in the morning until 3 p.m. It's like ridiculous. It's just like going to school, honestly. Just like being back in high school, so it was great. But yeah, we just learned so much about God, and just like how much He loves these people and all these things, and we're like, okay, now we're time to apply it. Because after the 3-month lecture, we have a 2-month outreach. I went to the Philippines personally, and we would do things like we would get in front of churches full of Filipino people, and we just like they would just invite us. Okay, well, I don't really know what I have for you guys, but I can just go for it. And it was really amazing to see just God move in just like the hearts of the people there, especially just through something as simple as this, just like speaking to them, and they were like, "Oh, that was so good." I'm like, and I felt so honored by that because personally, in the past I've dealt with many things where I'm like, "Oh, I'm not worthy of like affirmation," or like people being like, "Oh, that was good," and every time I'd just be like, no, that's not me. You said I was good. That wasn't me. That was all Him. But like, it's like He moves through us. So through this process, I learned that I love public speaking. And this is from on Monday mornings on the YWAM base that we were on. It's actually run by, they call them disciples, but in the area we're in, there's a large prostitute industry and just like human trafficking. And so they take women off the streets, out of the bars, wherever, and they're just like, "Hey, come live with us, we want to have you, we want to give you a better life." So they live there for free, and they work for the base, and they run it, and all of that. And so they just allowed us to love on them, and there's like tons of kids running around. It's hilarious. Like another thing we do is we play with their kids, and we hang out with them during a certain time when they have like their daycare or whatever. And they were just like, they just absolutely loved it. They just went crazy for it. But the main ministry, of course, was working in the bars with the women, and we got to play pool sometimes with some of them. So that was a lot of fun. This is actually my friend Mo on the right. They were doing doubles with me and my friend Savannah. And my time in the long boat was amazing. I was honestly, all of us guys were like so nervous about going into these bars because that's kind of like, we're kind of like, no God, we just came out of it. We don't want like to be attracted to women. We just want to be attracted to you, Jesus. We're so broken. But God was like, no, you guys need to go there and just like love on them. And it was so cool. Like we saw these people just like open up to us. And we were like, what? Like you want to talk to us? Like you're not scared or anything? And God really moved in my heart too, especially during that time. But then unfortunately we had to leave. They threw us a party, and that's cake all over us. What happened is there's a second floor and a third floor above us, and for some reason the leaders of the base, they would just take water, just buckets of water, and they just poured them on us because we had music going on and stuff. Because Filipino people, they love dancing, they love singing. They had karaoke on New Year's for 24 hours, like non-stop, at every single house, and it was ridiculous. I was like, I don't understand these people. And then we left to go to our next location, which is Montgomery. Which it's these rice terraces up in the middle of the island, very beautiful. These rice terraces were carved out like thousands of years ago, like before Jesus. It's insane. And there, our main ministry was working with the village people, because there's a city, but there's many people out in these villages that they know Jesus, but they don't know Jesus. Like they have him on his wall. This is Pedro, and he actually, it was super funny. We prayed for him, we hung out with him, and we didn't think anything of it. We had a picture of Jesus on the wall, so we were like, oh, this guy's cool. I'm glad we prayed for him. And we walk away, and our guide looks at us, he's like, oh yeah, that was my uncle. He's the pagan priest of the area, because they still do rituals in these areas of the Philippines. They believe in sacrifices and all these things. And we're like, guys, you could have told us that. Like, why are you not telling us these things? These are important to know. And yeah, we would just walk and we would just go to these villages. This woman, she doesn't really know how old she was. She was like, we think about 100 something. We're like, oh, cool. You don't know anybody? Like, no, there's we just got to talk to her and love on her, and they were just amazing people. This man was actually, we were walking by randomly, and someone saw him like, hey, I see that guy, let's go talk to him. I was like, okay, whatever. So we went and talked to him, and he tells us that he hasn't walked in a year. He hasn't been out of his chair in a year, other than through people picking him up and moving him. But he used to be a pastor that would go up and down these valleys in the rice terraces and go tell people about Jesus and like preach to them. So we went up to him and we prayed for him, and we were like, you know, God's gonna heal your legs now. Okay, whatever, I don't care. And we help him up, and he stands up, and we're like, okay, now take your first steps, and he begins walking. It's very hard for him to walk because, you know, he hasn't walked in so long. But through the process of like 20 minutes of us just continually praying for him and just trying to get him to move, he eventually just like gains his strength in his legs again. Jesus just completely heals him, and it was amazing. And we were like, okay, well, we didn't really think anything would happen, but you did it, Jesus, thanks, I guess. And this is our last days in Benalway. We just like hiking and stuff. Just
not being a preacher guy, you're doing very well.
I pulled a lot of these pictures for other people. And then we get to our third and final location, Cagayan de Oro, which is in the Southern Islands. And they, of course, were American, so they gave us all we need, cake and Coke, just liters of Coke. It was awesome. These people were very hospitable. They were amazing. And the main ministry there, we were in a city, but then out of nowhere, we walked 5 minutes and we're in a village, in a hut. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool, guys. I guess that's normal. Like, it was very interesting experience. It was kind of like Benalway, the last place, mixed with our first place where we were in the city, but we weren't. And it was very cool. And we got to hang out with all these kids. They were just like walking around. We'd go up to houses, and we'd have a translator with us, and we just talked to people. And on one occasion, I was talking to this woman, and her and this other woman were neighbors, the same name, and we were like, okay, that's cool. And she pulls me aside, she's like, oh, we're gonna go talk to my friend up here. Okay, she was like, okay, now you're gonna read her the Bible. I was like, what? She was like, you're gonna tell her about a story in the Bible. I'm like, okay, Jesus, what do I do? Which verse or whatever? And it was just so funny because they just so want to hear about the Bible and about Jesus. But unfortunately, with the area we were in, they had one Bible. They would come together every week, and one family would read from it, and they'd have a lesson from it, and then they give it to a new family who reads it that week, and then they come together and have a lesson about it, and then just pass it around the village. And it was so funny just to see just how interesting their life was, and just how they operated in such a way that I would probably just be like, oh, I don't need the Bible, like, I'll just read it next week or whatever. Like, but they're just like, they really want to dig into the Word. Like, man, I just really want to read about Jesus. I just really want to know about him, and that really touched my heart. And of course, kids are all over us. They just want attention, and it's like, it would be like many times they tell us like not to sometimes because like it can create this weird thing where it's like, oh, they're gonna be dependent or whatever. But it's like at the end of the day, like just a smile on their face is amazing. This is my favorite picture just ever. My friend took this. He was the Filipino translator with me. He just takes my phone. He's like, get on the ground, get very low. I was like, what's happening? And then these kids just swarmed me. I was like, where did you come from? What are you doing here? But they were just like, they were so amazing. And then another ministry we had was we went to schools, and this was a sign that it was super random, and the school was so happy about this. Although they put Honolulu and it was Kona, but we forgave them. But they were like, we went and spoke to their classes, and they were like, okay, now you come outside, and they showed us like, look at that, and I'm like, yay, that's great. But yeah, the schools were amazing. We would just go into classrooms and just talk to, it was mainly like 8th graders to like 10th, 11th graders, but it was so cool. But I don't really know if they cared what we were saying. I think they just liked seeing white people, and they didn't really know what we were saying because we'd ask questions and they'd just stare, smile, like, okay guys. But yeah, we got to take pictures with them. Our translators, like, they know, they're like, we'll take pictures with you, don't worry about it. Because they know that I mean, I love seeing these pictures, just like looking back on, it's just so much fun. And to kind of get them out of, like, to break the ice with them, we would have these games where we'd stand in line and we'd tell them to guess our names, age, country, hobby, and if we're dating or not. I don't know who came up with that last one, that's kind of weird, but whatever. And that just opened them up so much, and they got a little silly. I don't really know what this means. I asked them about it, and they just laughed, and then they said it was a game. So, Christian, wrong. And they said, can the slipper. And I was like, guys, what is can the slipper? They just go, oh, you know, you take the slipper and you can. I was like, what does that mean? And they just laughed, and they wouldn't tell me. I was like, whatever, I don't even care. But they were just like, they were just crazy when you come in, and they just laughed the whole time. And another ministry we got to do, which was awesome, was, we only got to do it once, unfortunately, but there's this, a boys' prison, where, so it's illegal to be homeless for whatever reason in the Philippines. I'm not really sure who came up with that law, it seems a little silly. But they take these homeless kids off the street, and they give them a home, which is really good. They give them food, and it's not really, I wouldn't call it a prison, it's more like they give them a place to live that's too far away to walk to anything else. So they're just kind of stuck there. Because the door's open, they just walk out. And it doesn't really matter. In fact, I guess, you know, they're not incarcerated. It's not like they did anything bad. But we just got to go there and just like, just tell them all about our experiences, all about just like what we've learned these past few months. Here's us driving away from one of these places, kids just chasing us. And we were super happy about this. Like everyone, when you go to like a third world country, like on our outreaches and stuff, we're like, we got to ride on the top of the vehicle. So they let us do that because we were out of the like the city area. They're like, okay, hurry, the police are over there. We have to wait for them to leave, so then we can keep driving. And we're like, okay. We talked to a lot of places. It was definitely worth it. And then we would have these nights where we talked to these kids in the community, and we talked to moms, and in the mornings on Saturdays we would have like kind of like a Sunday school thing for the kids, where they would just come to us and we just sing and dance, and then we have personal lessons with each one of them, and it was really cool. It was very worthwhile. I think what we're doing here is we have an outer circle and an inner circle, and we're just getting them to like, they're just gonna like turn around and they're gonna pray for whoever's in front of them, and the outer circle moves around, and then you pray for someone new, and it's just a fun way to practice praying for people, because it's such a thing that's like, it's kind of awkward sometimes if you're not doing it already. It's like, oh, I want to pray for this person, I don't know how to, like, what do I do? So we just gave them an example and just like showed how easy it was. And after the Philippines, I went to Los Angeles to this thing called Azusa Now. This is actually a group that I'm going to join later, the Circuit Riders. They put on this event before the real event, which is here, where it was the UCLA Coliseum, and we had about 60,000 people show up. It was all day. It was like, we got there at 4 a.m. and we left at like, probably like 12 midnight. So it was like, but it was amazing. Just seeing the hunger for God in the nation. Because it was just one of those things where it's like people were just like saying yes to Jesus. They're like, you know, I've seen many hard things in my life, but I still want Jesus to be in America because I don't think America is too far gone for anything. And yeah, it was such an amazing experience. After that, I went home, and I went, super fast. So kind of going into what I'm doing next, I staffed this youth camp called Infusion, the one that I went to back in 2013. And that's my co-leader on the right. This is just like us walking downtown, bubblegum. He just wanted to take a picture, so I thought it was super funny. But yeah, this is just everything about Infusion. We took them into the prayer room and put this large map down. We're like, you know, this is a mission space. A lot of these kids are missionary kids. Like, where do you feel God is like telling you to go? Like, not necessarily like, this is it. In 10 years, you can't change your mind. You're going to Africa for the rest of your life or whatever. But it's just like, just to get them in that mode of, you know, what if I'm called to mission? Where could I go? And just like walk around the world and see where they want to go. And then we have worship after. And so kind of, and for the closing of Infusion, we had relay race and stuff where we all had these shirts that says "Take Your Summer Back," and it was just a lot of fun. And I really gained a heart for high schoolers more and more through this. And then our last day was Love Feast, where everyone gets all dressed up and nice, and we have like fancy dinner for missionaries. It was like chicken and like rolls, and that was like it was like top notch. It was amazing because it was free, so it was awesome. And this is just a picture of our room. That's Tim, my co-leader. Those are all of our guys. We were with them for 10 days. We all got to hang out. I really just like loved them, just loved on them so much, and just got to hang out with them and like get to know their hearts. And that kind of goes. And then so for next, my next future plans. This is I'm joining the circuit riders season bottom right, and what they do is they have this. It's called the Carry the Love Tour. I had a picture of it. It's with my flag and Benali where I was holding it up. But these are all. This is the U.S. divided into areas where these people are leading a team to colleges. So what they'll do is they'll go into a college for 3 to 4 days. It's led by the students, where they say they go to the administration like, hey, I want these guys to come to my high school or to my college, and they'll go in and they'll just go for 3 or 4 days and just push in and like really just see Jesus meet these people, meet these college students where they're at. I believe I have it written down. They went to last year. They went to, or I guess this year, earlier in January, they went to 150 schools and reached 15,000 students over the course of 5 months, which is just amazing. And but for me, I'll be in California because I'm joining the high school group. It's the first year they're running it, and I'm just really expectant of what God has, what He's going to do. And this next thing that I'm going to is 8 months long, and I'm just really excited to see what Jesus has for me to just experience and just like who He puts in my path for me to talk to. So yeah, and then I have something to hand up that